Following a recent memorandum circular issued by the Civil Service Commission, all government agencies are encouraged to adopt a 4-day workweek scheme. Under the new scheme, government employees will now have to render 10 hours each day from Tuesday to Friday, 8 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening. Agencies may also opt for a Monday to Thursday schedule. The reasons, according to CSC, include lessening the traffic volume in Metro Manila, increase employee efficiency and performance, promote work-life balance among employees, and enhance employee morale. But some labor groups slam the 4-day workweek scheme because it allegedly runs counter to the country's productivity. It would also mean longer hours for employees at work, defeating the very purpose of the memorandum. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. Proponents of the 4-day workweek scheme say that shorter workweek means an increase in overall life satisfaction for the laborers. But the other side says it won't make a dent and will affect the delivery of services. So let's weigh in tonight. Our question, are you in favor of the Civil Service Commission's 4-day workweek policy? Good evening, I'm Nepomuceno, and this is Opposing Views. All right, joining us tonight in our discussion is Assistant Commissioner for Legal Affairs, Attorney Ariel Ronquillo of the Civil Service Commission. Good evening, ASCOM. Ariel.
Good evening, Attorney Rod.
Yes, can you give us your quick thoughts on this policy, this 4-day work week?
Well, the Civil Service Commission is actually in the process of empowering our different agencies of the government in Metro Manila to decide whether they will adopt this 4-day work week scheme that we are proposing. This is meant to help in the easing of traffic congestion within Metro Manila and to promote work-life balance for our government employees. We believe that with the adoption of the 4-day work week scheme, our people in government will have more time with their family, because that means 3 more days of being with their family instead of work, without reducing their productivity, because we also protect the 40 hours a week that is mandated by our law. And also, we see to it that the adoption of the 4-day work week scheme will not prejudice the public, because we will continue to monitor whether the adoption of the scheme is really good for the public or not. If it is found out that it's not working very well for the benefit of the public, then we can tell the agency to stop. So again, this is not an imposition. This is a blanket authority so that agencies can decide for themselves whether they will adopt it or not. Right. If they think it will not work for them, then it's up to them. They will not adopt it. But if they believe they are ready to implement it and that they will be more effective when they implement it, then go ahead. We have given them the blanket authority, but bearing in mind that the Civil Service Commission will continue to monitor them and will tell them to stop if it is not serving the purpose.
All right. Thank you so much, ASCOM. Ariel, on the opposing side is the National President of the Confederation for Unity and Advancement of Government Employees, or COURAGE, Ferdinand Gaite. Good evening, Ferdinand.
Good evening, Attorney Rod. Good evening kay ating ASEC Alex ng CSC.
Now, what are your thoughts on this, itong 4-day work week na pinapropose ng CSC?
Well, this is not a new proposal or plan. Previously, this was already implemented, but under a different justification. If I remember it right, during the previous administration, this was proposed a scheme supposedly to cut down on electrical consumption, which, again, before, we already criticized this as a very half-baked concept or idea, because the concept was, the concept is a compressed work week schedule. Instead ng 5 araw, 4 na araw. But you do not reduce the number of working hours in the office. Previously, it was 5 days, but working on an 8-hour schedule. But now, it's a 4-day work week, but within a 10-hour work schedule. Meaning, it's a total of 40 hours. Doon pa lamang kinriticize namin na half-baked or illogical because you do not reduce the consumption of electricity, etc. Of the offices. You will still be operating on a 40-day work week. Right. So, sabi nila, makakatipid daw yung mga empleyado kasi hindi na daw siya mamasahe at hindi siya kakain. Sabi ko, hindi naman, kahit yung 5th day na libre niya, kakain pa rin siya. But baka sa bahay na lamang. But now, the proposal is supposed to address the problem of traffic, which is kalbaryo ng bawat Pilipino ngayon dito sa Metro Manila. But we still believe hindi masyado malaking impact dito. Kasi right now, there is no empirical data to show how many government employees actually own their own vehicles, which will be reduced once compressed work week is implemented. Secondly, I think the other concept is the number of government vehicles, which are used also by the various government offices. And if we can have an empirical data to show that ito mawawala sa kalsada kapag then posible, no? But right now, I don't think it will really have a big dent. I think may mga justifications regarding work-life balance. We don't think it will really have a great benefit because you will be, what? You'll be 15 hours out of dati kasi...
Sorry to cut you off. Okay, we'll have to cut you off because we're already going to the debate points now. So, but you made your point. So the idea was to summarize your ideas. All right. So that's our discussion for today, for the 4-day work week. So let's start off with first question. Will this 4-day work week, because I think the premise is that we're having a lot of traffic and we're all suffering from that. And we're all looking for solutions. And I think this is one of the solutions that's being offered by the CSC. It's supposedly to lessen the traffic. And you were pointing it out, Ferdy. So again, sorry to cut you off on that because we are going to discuss that lengthily. Now, do you think, ASCOM, Ariel, that this 4-day work week will indeed lessen the traffic volume? As Ferdy had already pointed out, there hasn't been any empirical research whether certain cars, let's say government cars, will be lessened, or government employees who own cars will really not use their cars on Friday or on that 5th day. Do you think that has there been research, for example, that it will indeed lessen the traffic?
Okay, Rod, in the first place, we're not guaranteeing that this will really reduce the traffic congestion within Metro Manila. What we're saying is that somehow it will help, and that the enactment of this policy will at least provide an environment where the employees themselves, who are mostly caught in these traffic jams, will be given a relief, at least maybe for one day, that they will not be commuting and that they will just be staying at home.
In other words, one day at least that they don't have to commute.
Yes. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang, kasi hindi natin pwedeng garantiyahan na mawawala yung traffic just because isang araw walang pasok.
Has there been preliminary research, for example, maybe a sample size, or maybe research that you conducted with one office na how many of you will not use your cars or your vehicles if we have this 4-day work week? Meron bang ganun? Informal research?
Ang katotohanan niyan, walang ganung research na ginawa. Ang ginawa ay survey.
Survey,
sa mga agencies kung pabor sila dito o hindi. At sa pagsagot naman kasi nung mga tanong na ginawa namin, isinaalang-alang na yon. Makakatulong ba sa inyo?
And so far, the overwhelming result of that survey is?
Yes, I think around 90% of all the respondents said yes, they are in favor of the 4-day work week scheme.
Now, Ferdy, let's go back to what you were driving at. Sorry for the pun, drive and cars. You're saying that this will not necessarily lessen the number of cars on the road. Why do you say that?
Tama yun. Kasi mas maraming, I would believe, mas maraming kawani, hindi naman malalaki ang sahod ng mga ito, nagko-commute. They use the usual public utility vehicles. So, there will be no reduction because you still be, the number of public utility vehicles, whether the employees will go to the office or not, will remain the same. Tapos, yung may mga government vehicles din,
Yeah.
well, mababawasan siguro kasi wala nga office Pero I think may magandang points na ni-raise siya, yung work-life balance, no? Supposedly there will be 1 day free. But your regular days will be extended, no? Such that an example, papasok ko kasi instead of dati 8 to 5, magiging 8 to 7, 8 a.m. to 7
Yeah,
p.m.
ma-extend yung hours
Extend
mo.
yung hours. Imagine, papasok sa office, ako ang normal kong allowance for travel now is anywhere from 1.5 hours to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Meaning, alas 6 pa lang malis ka sa bahay, alas 8 na sa office ka, dating 5 o'clock, mga 7 o'clock na sa bahay ka. Now, with the other 2 hour, you'll be spending 15 hours a day on the road.
On the road, yeah.
With the 10-hour
So by the time you get home, the kids are probably asleep or?
wala na rin. Oo. So nag-suffer rin yung time naman na may pasok ka, no? Sabi nila, may isang araw nasa
school naman yung
anak ko,
bata,
di mo makikita, no?
Unless may 4-day rin sa mga schools.
And there's still no guarantee that the employees who are now home will not be traveling or using their
The vehicles, baka lumabas sila or ano.
Kasi
But yun nga, yung point ni Ascom is that they're not compelled. They're not required. They can stay home and
yun na nga yung point din. Pero ang isang effect at we've raised this is the effect on also the services. Government offices are not islands in a large sea. They do coordinate with other offices. They need the transactions of one office to the other. What will happen? By the way, the schedule, I believe, as I understand the proposal, is that either you leave Monday off or Friday off. So, nasaan niyo pa yan, no? So, ang laking disruption yan ng mga
There's been a lot of confusion, you mean?
Confusion and continuity of service because now, you would have to contend with, ano ba schedule nitong office na to? Monday to Thursday ba?
Para coordinate with this office bilang, naku, ano para sila? Naka-off sila ngayon.
Even the access of the public in such services will also be limited.
Okay, that's an interesting point. Ascom, what are your thoughts on that? One, it doesn't really promote work-life balance because of that extended time. And secondly, that confusion of the coordination among government offices.
Isa-isahin natin, yung daily pagko-commute. Sa totoo lang, sa regular na schedule natin, umuwi tayo ng 5 o'clock. Yung mga umuwi ng 5 o'clock, hindi naman nakakauwi ng bahay ng after 2 hours. Yeah, alam mo kung bakit? Because they're stuck in traffic. Pag umuwi ka ng 5 o'clock, rush hour yan eh. Kaya yung pag-uwi mo pa lang, problema na sa'yo. Dahil matagal kang nasa daan, naghihintay kang umusad yung sinasakyan mo kasi nasa traffic ka. At the same time, pagod ka rin, di ba?
Yeah.
Well, with the adoption of this 4-day work week scheme, kung aalis ka ng 7 o'clock, tapos na yung rush hour,
hopefully,
medyo mas mabilis na yun. So,
hopefully.
Pag uwi mo sa bahay, you will have, maybe,
experience ko rin, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, masama pa rin. Or it's probably even worse pag 7 o'clock. No? But again,
that's not always the case. Mas masama pagka uwi at 5 o'clock.
All right, that's an interesting point. Sorry, Ascom, that's an interesting point, but unfortunately, we'll need to take a short break. So we'll continue on our discussion. No? Meanwhile, we invite you to weigh in via Facebook at facebook.com/opposingviews on 9TV or tweet your thoughts at opposing_views. Use the hashtag OV4DayWork. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay lang din po kasi nag-stay rin naman kami talagang lampas sa oras. Umaalis kami dito ma'am ng mga 7 or 7:30 kahit na hindi 4-day work week pa kasi iniiwasan na namin yung traffic. Kasi kung aalis kami ng 5 o'clock, mas ma-traffic, mas mahaba ang oras namin sa biyahe.
As to, I like it. Well, it was implemented naman nga daw to for the traffic. So I think for some agencies it would be okay, but unlike sa ibang agencies like us which we don't have frontline services, na dahil nandito tayo nga sa media ng government na 24/7 tayo, siguro we need to study pa a little bit more kung applicable ba yon dito sa ahensya natin. As to it being helpful, definitely it would be helpful siguro sa ibang agency. It would ease traffic definitely. So, yun siguro yun.
Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. I'm Nepomuceno. And we have with us Attorney Ariel Ronquillo of the Civil Service Commission and the President of Courage, Ferdinand Gaite. Now, our debate question tonight, are you in favor of the Civil Service Commission's 4-day work week policy? So, before we took a break, Ascom, you were making that point nga na at 7 o'clock, the traffic is probably less, and therefore, in all likelihood, they'll probably get home earlier. No? You were trying to move on to the next point. Yung next point nyo, I think it was the work-life balance argument. No?
Yeah, kasi kanina nasabi nung kasama natin, si Ferdy, na kapag Friday, wala rin daw assurance na mananatili sa bahay yung government employee because chances are he will still use his car and go out. Sa totoo lang, kapag nangyari yun on a Friday na walang pasok, at least at that point, he's already bonding with his family. Okay, at yun nga, inuumpisahan na natin yung work-life balance.
Pero yung point ni Ferdy nga, Ascom, is that the kids are in school normally on Friday. So,
yeah, pwede niyang sunduin, maski siya na mismo yung sumundo, o kaya hihintayin niya na lang yung pagdating. Siguro for the kids, mas masayang isipin na pagdating nila sa bahay, nandun na yung kanilang parents at naghihintay sa kanila.
Alright.
Now, second point, yung baka daw magkaroon naman ng kaguluhan in terms of coordination. I think the circular has provided all the necessary safeguards to ensure that the public service will not be prejudiced. No? Meron kaming 4 na requirements. At bukod doon, kapag nagbigay ka ng notice, meron ding requirement na you have to give ample dissemination of the schedules that you will adopt so that the public, as well as other agencies that are transacting with you, will know what kind of a schedule will you be adopting, no? So that they will be properly
so that's a good
guided.
point. So at least they will be informed. So there will be naman circulars and I guess memos to all government offices as to who have selected. Now, Ascom, ito ba if you chose already, let's say Monday to Thursday or you choose Tuesday to Friday, you can't change basta-basta. Meaning, when you choose, you choose. Ganun ba yan?
Yeah, kasi doon sa circular, you either choose Monday to Thursday or kaya
you can't
Tuesday to
flip-flop
Friday.
per month. You can't flip-flop per
Yeah.
month. All right. So if that's the case, so there's a little bit of permanence for these. Kung may a little bit of permanence.
Rod, can I correct that? Actually, pwedeng baguhin yon basta i-notify lang kami.
Notify lang.
Yeah, kasi in fact, sinasabi nga namin sa agencies, although this is a blanket authority, hindi ibig sabihin na forever yan. No? We'll still be monitoring them. And if we find out that the adoption of that scheme is not beneficial to the public, then we can tell them to stop.
Yeah, okay.
We can tell them to
hold on,
not to pursue it
suspend it.
anymore because it's not doing good to the public service.
Ferdy, I have a quick question now. Given the requirements mentioned by the CSC, may mga requirements ang Civil Service Commission. Do you think our government agencies are ready for an implementation like this? So may mga requirements of website and mga 24-hour call agents.
Frontline.
Well, kung sa website lang, marami, no? Meron namang government agencies, meron na sariling website. But most are static. These are not the dynamic kind of websites wherein you can online access data, information, and application and processing.
Services,
no? So, medyo backward pa. Most of these...
So you think the government's not ready pa?
Definitely. Marami pang, it's more paper processing. You have to personally be in front of these offices before you can transact with this government. But kung sinasabing data lamang, a website is a website, unless it's really interactive, it's dynamic in the sense that an ordinary member of the public may obtain the required services from such
All right. Ascom, you think the government agencies are ready? Lalo na, may mga certain requirements kayo, di ba? Maybe you can bring forth, tell our viewers, ano yung mga requirements before the office can actually apply for this 4-day work week?
Well, they have to have frontline services which can be accessed online. Then there should be a PABX or call center system which can be diverted to the officer of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that one-stop shop,
One-stop
where
shop.
all the transactions can be done. And of course, a database on the agency's records about the employee's tardiness, the performance, the efficiency, the effectiveness, and all
So
that.
kailangan mga requirements na yan before that particular government office can apply for...
Kailangan yung mga requirements na yan so that they can validly implement the scheme. Now, ngayon, dahil blanket authority nga yung binigay namin, they can just notify us and then 15 days kailangang maharaan for purposes of dissemination before they can implement.
Okay.
Pero nagmo-monitor kami. Kung
So
halimbawa,
there's a 15-day notice before
Yes.
they implement. All right.
Ngayon, kung halimbawa sa monitoring namin lumalabas, hindi pala nila nami-meet yung any of the requirements, we can tell them to
You can
stop.
suspend it. All right.
We
Now,
will revoke it.
If will it make a dent in your mind, ASCOM? Will it make a dent if it's voluntary? Because this is voluntary, right? It's a blanket authority.
It's
but
voluntary. It's not an
so,
imposition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think it'll make a dent? You think most of the offices will go for it?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a list here. I have a list of
Meron na,
approved 4-day work week. No, you have municipality of Silang Cavite, so kasama yung mga LGUs, no?
Yeah.
MMDA, the Tarlac State University, no?
Rod, may I correct? No, yung
Yeah.
listahan na hawak mo, yan yung nag-i-implement na, no?
Okay.
Maski outside Metro Manila.
I see. Okay.
Even before we issue this.
All right. Okay.
At so far, yung feedback galing sa kanila is that it's okay.
It's quite good. So
Okay.
you
Ngayon,
think though that the fact that it's voluntary, do you think there will be a dent?
I think that's the better arrangement kasi ang mga agencies mismo are in a better position to determine if they are ready to adopt the 4-day work weeks. Hindi kami. They just have to notify us and that we will monitor them.
And so far, in your experience, has this caused any chaos in terms of
Well, in fact,
interagency
in
coordination?
fact, all the feedbacks that we're getting are favorable, coming from all those agencies that have so far adopted the 4-day work weeks.
So for sa mga members nyo ng Courage, ano yung mga narinig mo? I mean, so far kasi it seems to me that at least what the CSC is getting is that it's an overwhelming yes, no? That parang most of the employees are for it. Sa mga members nyo ba, ano yung feeling niya? Do you think that some are for it and some are against it? And what's the percentage?
Well, totoo naman, meron naman, ano, may sumasang-ayon. But ang isang nakikita nila yung malaking disruption ng routine, ng schedules na for the longest time ay ina-adopt. So, sabi nga nila, may effect ito sa kanila bilang mga empleyado, may effect rin ito sa services. Kasi the public has been conditioned to understand na ganito yung schedule ng mga offices.
Yeah.
So, meron namang ilan. Pero I believe, mas marami pa rin ang naniniwala na mas malaking disruption to. Ito nga yung point namin. Right now, the government, especially MMDA, especially dito in Metro Manila, we believe that the incompetence of the government in addressing the traffic, they're trying to transfer the problem to the people,
To the
and
people, yeah.
to the workers, no?
Rather than
So,
finding a solution.
That's right.
dapat
No?
sa-
It's like, I'd like to give an example, the traffic along Katipunan Road. Before, there was a U-turn, that was the experiment. No, let's take out now let's put back the traffic lights. Then recently, no, we will turn off the traffic lights because the sequencing or the synchronization of the lights do not jive with the movement of the traffic. So right now, I just passed by, there will be times that the traffic would be
Bad or-
humongous and really bad. No? So ang point doon, ang hirap kasi mag-experiment sa mga ganitong mga schemes na hindi inaral ano ba yung extent, ano yung impact, no? And the point, paano nakikita na namin, let's do something just to show that we're doing something, regardless whether the impact will benefit the people, the employees or
But
not.
meron na daw meron na mga
Actually,
government agencies na
well, ang sinabi kasi
implemented?
Silang and Tarlac, these are non-traffic areas. Meaning, no?
There are more. Di ba?
There are more. I think MMDA has also implemented that, right? MMDA or-
As a matter of
women.
fact, there will be agencies that cannot implement that.
and MMDA is probably one of them.
An example is the Department of Education. The employees in the Department of Education have a schedule for the students, no? At yung oras nila maapektuhan.
It has to be mirroring the mga
Hindi mo
the schedule of the schools.
hindi magalaw yun. Sa mga hospital, they have a 24-hour schedule. Sa DSWD, ganun din. So, ang kanyang point, how many will be impacted? How many will fit with the compressed work week schedule? Wherein, paano yung mga 24-hour operations
Right.
or yung mga malaking
Okay,
disruption?
Ferdy. Point taken yun. But let's go to
Can I answer?
productivity, no? Because we need to tackle a number of issues here, no? The argument ASCOM on employees becoming less productive because it's a 10-hour work day nga, as mentioned by Ferdy. Hindi machines yan, no, na parang consistent yung ano nila, no? Minsan I call it personally, I call it the law of diminishing returns. After a while, talagang even on your 9th, 10th hour, minsan nga, the 8th hour na, pagod ka na. So how do you address that? Do you think by doing this, you were maximizing the productivity of the employees, you think?
Well, unang-una, we're not changing the targets. No? Kung ano yung targets ng agency, before the adoption of the scheme, is the same targets that they have to achieve.
Yeah, but correct. But
Pangalawa, ang assumption is that
human side.
when the agency says that we're adopting it, remember, it's not an imposition.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Meaning napag-aralan nila.
discretionary on their part.
They've discussed it with their employees.
Yes, pinag-aralan na rin nila yan.
Ah.
So therefore, when they decide to adopt the scheme, that means they are ready for it.
Right.
And they should know that even if there is a reduced work days, they still have to meet the target that they have originally set. So, hindi dapat magkakaroon ng pagbabago insofar as the productivity is concerned, insofar as the welfare of the employees.
Have you studied
are
that a 10-hour workday is still an optimal number of hours for
Let me
an
put
employee?
it this way, Rod. No? If that's doing well in all those agencies that have already adopted it, maski yung hindi prone sa traffic, yung mga nasa labas ng Metro Manila, so far the feedback are really encouraging. 10 oras nagtatrabaho yung mga empleyado and yet they're saying it's good.
Okay.
Because they have more time with their family. If that works for them, why will it not work for the rest?
All right, great point. Now, we need to take a short break. More issues about the 4-day work week when we return. You're watching Opposing Views. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. I'm Nepomuceno. Still with us is Attorney Ariel Ronquillo of the Civil Service Commission, and the opposing side is Courage President Ferdy Gaiten. Our question, are you in favor of the Civil Service Commission's 4-day work week policy? Now, ASCOM, we are aiming for the ASEAN integration next year, no? So with the other Southeast Asian countries. Okay. Now, most of these countries have a 5-day work week. Some even have 6. No? So, will a 4-day work week go against this ASEAN integration? Since other countries obviously work the usual 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, palagay ko hindi naman, no? It will not go against that. Kasi it's not really a matter of counting the number of days that they are working. It's really counting the productivity. And as far as we are concerned, the productive working hours is 40 hours a week. We are not reducing that. Okay, so yung mandated by law na 40 hours, yun pa rin ang gagampanan natin. So we are still within what the ASEAN is adapting.
Okay, Ferdy, itong ASEAN integration, is this something that you think is an important issue that we should consider?
Well, totoo rin naman yun, no? Kasi in any environment, hindi mo pwedeng, hindi nga, sabi ko, we are not islands, no? We are integrated into a bigger system. Mabalik lang ako, yung sinabi kanina na, nakakatulong ito sa mga employees, but does it really, is it really acceptable to the public? Ako, for one, we have 2 unions, the Senate and Congress, which have been implementing a 4-day work week. Ako dismayado ako kasi minsan ang libre ko lang on Friday to transact with the government agency. Since na-lessen ng isang araw, nawawalan yung pagkakataon na makapag-transact ako sa naturang agency. Normally pati, sinabi, hindi nasasagot yung question will it, yung productivity na ano ba? Ang sagot lang is that, no, the targets remain the same. And yun nga yung point. These are not robots. These are not motors that will run on the same capacity at the start of the day, at the end of the day. Yan nga yung diminishing capacity. And we've observed that in some offices, after 5, ito nga yung Senate at Congress, halos wala ng tao. Yung mga tao parang talagang lupay-pay na. And even the public sometimes don't want to go to the government agency between 5 to 7 because by that time, if they do transact, makakauwi sila 10:00 ng gabi, no? So it doesn't really extending the number of hours, hindi necessarily tapos yung integration pa, yung ASEAN integration, I don't think this will bode well for the concept of improving work-life balance, productivity, performance, and others.
All right. Now, itong yes, Ascom, do you have a point?
Can I rebut that?
Sure.
Yeah, kasi yung sinabi na hindi raw nasagot yung tungkol sa productivity. Sinabi ko na meron ng mga nag-adapt and the result has been
Their productivity hasn't changed?
It hasn't changed. In fact, the reports are really encouraging.
Would you say they were more productive?
It's working well for them, and in fact, they are now in that stage where I think they want to adopt that as a permanent system. But of course, that's another issue. Ang ibig lang sabihin nun, kung ang pagbabatayan natin ay yung mga agency na nag-implement na, walang problema when it comes to productivity. Kaya nga sinabi ko, the target has not been changed. Kasi yun pa rin yung pagtatrabahuhan nila. And if the people are happy achieving the target, the more that they'll become productive.
Yeah. On that point, no, and this is just a side question. You're given an option of Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday.
Okay.
And ang point nga ni Ferdy, minsan, minsan gusto mo pong mag-ayos, let's say, ng lisensya mo or whatever, and you can't do it during your work hours and you have to go there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, late ka na makakauwi. Has there ever been a thought given on, assuming let's say 4 days, no, na maybe one of those days is Saturday, maybe make the work week Wednesday to Saturday, kasi yung Saturday, at least you can provide services sa mga private sector, which are your constituents.
Hindi naisip yun kasi ang purpose nga natin dito, paikliin yung work week. Ngayon, ang sagot ko naman doon, yung Friday, kung halimbawa hindi in-adapt yung 4-day work week, yung Friday working day pa rin yun eh. So, kung halimbawa makakapag-transact ka ng Friday, ba't hindi ka pwede mag-transact ng any of the working days? If you can really, if you really need it, and then you can find time to get what you want from
for example,
that particular
right
government
now,
agency.
I just got my passport a few months ago. It took me like half a day. No? I mean, 3-4 hours of my work time, di ba? And I can't do it on a Saturday. I'm just bringing that up as a
That's the point. Kasi kung walang 4-day work week scheme, at sinasabi mo, pwede lang ako Friday, yung Friday work week din yun eh.
The Saturday. Let's
Absent ka
say
din.
Saturday. I was saying, what if it's the work week for the government offices? Is there an option for a Wednesday to Saturday work week? For
Walang option.
Walang option na ganun.
We confined it to the original work days.
Original work day. Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on that, Ferdy? Kasi yun nga, yung sinasabi mo, minsan some of the private sector, di ba? And yun yung sinaserve ng government,
right,
di ba? Minsan kailangan nilang kumuha ng lisensya or passport or cedula or whatever, and they can only do it on those weekdays.
Oo, tama yun. No? So yun yung isang ang argument namin na yung disruption ng schedules will also affect the public that we serve. No? Yung problem ng hours na operational yung isang office, then minsan, tama naman siya, kung kailangan mo, pupunta mo. Pero minsan, limited ka.
Limited yung time mo.
Yung oras mo talagang hindi mo may siksik. So, naghahanap ka lang ng pagkakataon to transact with the respective agency.
Although, yung point nga, if you extend nga 5 to 7, may extension of 5 to 7, yung those who are working in private sector can now go to those times.
Yes. Mas mahaba sa gabi.
I think magandang i-observe yan kung totoo nga yung nangyayari yung 5 to 7, no? Kasi doon sa na-observe namin sa Senate at ibang offices, pag oras na yun, halos wala na. Yung public talagang pakaunti.
Even if
kakaunti na lang.
Even 10 hours sila.
Oo, tapos kadalasan nga, kasi gusto na makauwi eh. Masyado nang late yung transaction. They know that they will be late because of the traffic also. So, mostly halos wala na.
Inaabangan na rin nila to
wala
leave.
na. Halos wala na rin
Let's talk about the issue on, yes, Ascom.
Hindi dapat nangyayari yun. Kasi kung talagang work nila hanggang 7 o'clock, may dumating na kliyente, they have to serve the client. Because if they don't serve the client, they can be held liable under the Anti-Red Tape Act.
Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about savings. This is another issue, no? And I would say another point of discussion. Savings on the part of government and savings on the part of the employee. Now, we're saying that you're thinking that with having a 4-day work week, the government will be able to save because yung one day na supposed operations, wala. Okay? But as Ferdy was mentioning, the productivity is not supposed to change, meaning 40 hours of service pa rin, di ba? So, there will not be any savings in terms of utilities. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there will be some savings on utilities and other incidental expenses?
Somehow kasi pag bawas yung isang araw, buong araw, yung buong ahensya, patay ang electricity, the other utilities are not functioning, I think that will translate to savings. Pero yung daily na may extend, kasi pwedeng gawaan ng ano yan, ng paraan ng ahensya eh. There was a time when I think some agencies has adopted a scheme that pagdating ng alas 4 or alas 5, dapat patay lahat ng air conditioning units.
Kasi malamig
Kasi malamig na naman. Okay. They can adopt that in order to to save. Ang ibig ko sabihin, this scheme will actually provide the environment where the agencies will not only promote work-life balance, but also savings for the government. Bahala na silang dumiskarte. That's why we gave them a blanket authority. We gave them the discretion to adopt it or not, because they are in a better position to assess whether they are ready to adopt it.
Is it a fair estimation at 20% savings, no?
I think that's a fair estimation.
Ferdy, you think it's a fair estimation at 20% savings on government expenses, on utilities and incidental expenses?
We disagree. Kasi nga, sabi nga natin, if you're operating on a 40-hour work
Ganun
week,
din yan.
at tapos, ganun din. Ibig sabihin, yun din ang utilization mo ng utilities and other expenditures, no? So we argued that before, and it's falling on deaf ears. Kasi, ewan ko, yung logic is very simple. And yet, the concept of in-assert that there will be savings, sabi ko, sige nga, i-outline natin, where will the savings come from? Ako lang, personally, there will be actually savings for the employees. Kasi the only savings that he will obtain, or he or she will obtain, is the transportation cost. Kasi one day ko malilibre. But other than that, wala na ko nakikitang ibang savings on the part of...
Do you concede, though, that this scheme at least will provide some reprieve or some lower expense for mga employees?
Yun lang. Yung transportation expense lang for one day. Kasi na-lessen nga. And probably, binabanggit, yung init ng ulo na maipit ka sa traffic.
Is this one of the considerations also that the employees get a bit of savings as well?
Yeah, isa yan sa mga pag-aralan.
So, now in terms of... is this similar to this is not the first time we've done this, diba? We've had compressed work week in 1990. I remember that.
Purposely for savings.
Yeah, I think it's for electricity.
Electricity,
right?
yes.
Yeah, energy crisis. Would you say that the situation now is the same or similar, that we have to adopt this at this point? And I think it was addressed mainly for the construction of the Skyway 3, diba? Now, you think this is a temporary thing or is this a permanent thing, you think?
It really depends on the outcome of this. No? Meron tayong, I think, around 1 year of observation. If after that period, it appears na it's okay pala, then siguro we can adopt this as a policy for the government. No?
Okay, so we need to take a short break at this point. Please don't go away. When we come back, the results of our online poll on the issue and the final words from our guests. Please stay tuned. You're watching Opposing Views. Welcome back. This is Opposing Views. I'm Nepomuceno. Still with us is Attorney Ariel Ronquillo of the Civil Service Commission and Courage President Ferdy Gaiter. Our question, are you in favor of the Civil Service Commission's 4-day workweek policy? Now, ASCOM, the international labor movements have won this 8-hour work each day. No? So it has become policy now. Employees are supposed to just work 8 hours. This is the optimum number of hours. Beyond that, it should be overtime, or it is not encouraged. You think by doing this, by doing a 4-day work week, pero 10 hours per work day, is this an attack to laborers' rights?
Definitely, it's not.
It's not.
Yeah. In the first place, we're not imposing it. We're just giving them the discretion. Secondly, we're not reducing the working hours. It's still 40 hours a week. And hindi yun ang consideration.
Yeah.
I think the policy has narrated, has stated very well the reasons why the Commission has adopted this policy.
So it's very collaborative in a way. You are working with employees.
And besides, this has been done after consultation.
A lot of consultation.
So there's no reason to attack any right, especially labor's right for that matter.
Right. Okay. For your thoughts on this, obviously you're representing the government employees. Do you think that this is an attack on the policy, the 8-hour workday policy?
Well, we believe may effect ito at may attack sa rights ng workers. If you remember it right, no? Kaya meron po tayong Labor Day o May 1. The workers then in sa Haymarket Square sa Chicago demanded that the working hours, imagine that is 16 hours ang workday, they demanded to shorten that, no? At kaya nga ito na ipanalo yung shorten the 8-hour workday kasi hindi ka mga makina, hindi mga motor, hindi ano to na ini-expect na yung output sa simula ay ganun pa rin at the end. Mantakin mo pati majority of the hours will be on the road or on the office because of the commuting to and from their offices. So we believe nadidiminish yung rights sila, even yung potential for other benefits such as overtime pay kasi nawawala na rin kasi hindi ka na makapag-overtime, no?
Right, oo.
Liban pa dyan ang isang fear namin, and we would like to raise this with the commissioner, no? Assistant commissioner. Paano yung mga arawan, no, na mga manggagawa? Di na mawala ng isang araw sila, especially ang ating mga casual workers, no? Bagamat na-extend yung hours, anong effect yan? Nabawasan.
Kasi per day ang
dahil per day ang kanilang work.
That's a good point. Ascom, have you addressed those, yung mga arawan na...
Yeah, it can be arranged in the agency itself. No, remember, ang
But
binawasan natin dito yung araw nga, no? But the hours of work has not been reduced.
So there should be at least no diminution of or lessening of the benefits.
Because it was not intended to diminish anything.
Okay.
So yung mga with respect to rights that may probably be affected, it has to be settled in the level of the agency.
Kasi Ferdy, ang point nga ni Ascom, kung medyo overwhelming naman, from what I'm hearing from Ascom, is that medyo overwhelming naman ang support ng mga employees. It shouldn't be something that we should really be worried about. Do you think? I mean,
gusto ko lang correct me if I'm wrong. What I heard was 70%, no?
70%.
Yun yung isa narinig ko si Director for Public Information.
Yeah, Agamata.
Apo. And when she said that, sabi ko, but the problem is sometimes when you take a survey, sometimes, without realizing that, without establishing the basis for such a proposal, kailangan malaman natin talaga anong impact. Sometimes kasi what you want is not really, it's not really,
it's not what you get.
And it's not going to solve a problem or a quandary that you're facing. So, dapat sabi ko, titignan rin kung ano yung by impact. Maganda yung sinabi na ni Ascom, no? That there are several agencies. But I think more extensively, i-check rin hindi lamang po yung satisfaction ng empleyado, satisfaction rin ng mamamayan, no? Kasi imagine na yun nabanggit ko na bigla mawawala isang araw. Ako nainis talaga ako minsan when I want to transact with Congress and ako hindi ka nga pala pwede kasi Friday. So those opportunities are lost because of the scheduling, no? And now it will be affecting all government agencies. So I think talagang necessarily dapat aralin comprehensively. What do we really want to address? The problem of traffic, then make a solution.
Do you think, Ascom, this is more like a knee-jerk reaction? I understand that the policy, this policy, correct me if I'm wrong, is really being implemented in light of the ongoing traffic situation. Is that correct?
That's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons. What is the main reason for implementing the policy right now?
That's it. And the traffic
is the main thing.
The main thing. But aside from that, of course, we also consider the work-life balance.
So was this considered even before traffic has worsened at this point? Or?
Yeah, that's why there were agencies that adopted that even before this scheme was issued by the Commission. Yung listahan na hawak mo, karamihan dyan nag-adapt na maski wala pa tong policy.
And they had to seek your approval first?
They have to seek our approval first before they can do that. Ngayon, ang ginawa lang namin is to provide the environment. Hindi nyo na kailangan mag-seek ng approval, just notify us. We are giving you blanket authority to adopt this, but we will monitor you. We will get feedback from the public. Katulad nga ng maganda yung suggestion ni Ferdy, na i-consider din yung situation ng public. Kung meron man sa mga public na apektado dyan sa scheme na yan, they can call us anytime.
Yeah. Now, yung there are some offices mentioned by Ferdy, no, na minsan very vital, no, like maybe the part of education or perhaps passport or driver's license or what have you. There are some, like for example, MMDA or let's say government offices, government hospitals. Ano yung policy sa mga yan? There are some, let's say, mga disaster agencies.
Hindi sila pwede, tingin ko.
Okay. So there are exceptions to this?
Yeah. The agencies themselves will assess whether they are prepared for it or not. So kung halimbawa, nag-adapt sila na hindi naman pala pwede because of the effect of the scheme to their services, kami mismo magsasabi sa kanila, hindi kayo pwede.
So, although it's blanket,
Yeah.
if, let's say, an agency comes to you and says, we'd like to have a 4-day work week, and feeling mo na it's the type of government service
Because
na
of
hindi
the
pwede.
nature of their services.
Let's say police.
Yeah, we will tell them hindi pwede.
Di ba? Hindi
Hindi
naman pwedeng
pwedeng
4-day
walang
work
police ng Friday.
Hindi pwede.
Sabihin namin, dapat,
Armed Forces.
hindi pwede.
Hindi pwede. So,
Yeah, that's the beauty of this. This is not an imposition.
okay.
And this is not,
But yun nga, but let's say the police, since it's a blanket authority, the police can basically say, well, we want a 4-day work week.
remember, there is a period before they implement that. No? They will give us a notice.
Yeah.
And within that period, they'll be making dissemination of their schedules.
So in other words, may
etc.
veto power ang CSE.
Yes, but if within that period we already feel that that agency is not in a position to adopt this because of the effect to the public, right then and there we will tell them you cannot implement.
Off the bat, are there officers that you feel that should not have a 4-day work?
Well, agencies like that, no? Agencies which are rendering vital services to the public, such as the police, those who are involved in health,
Hospitals,
even I think those who are involved in social work.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mga bumbero, firemen. Hindi pwede.
You cannot say you cannot go there because it's a Friday. So you cannot-
Medyo mahirap ang excuse na 4-day work week
yeah,
yan, di ba?
Yeah, it's really depend on the situation.
Why just now? Ascom, why did you just implement it now? There's obviously the problem of traffic.
It's available even before because
Even
that
before,
power is given to us by law. Kaya lang, because nga of the reported worsening traffic condition as a result of this major infrastructure, the Commission said, huwag na natin pahirapan, let's give them blanket authority. I-monitor na lang natin.
Monitor na natin. Okay. So we have just enough time, no, for final words. Maybe we'll start off with you, Ferdy. Final words to our viewers who might be, mulling this over and thinking about what position they should take.
Well, first and foremost, we believe this will not, the 4-day work week or compressed work week, will not affect the problem of traffic that many Filipinos here in Metro Manila are now facing. No? Tingin natin na hindi nito nasasagot yung batayang problema na bunga ng traffic na mismanagement, yung problem ng napakaraming vehicle sa kalsada, yung flow na napakahulo, limited space, limited roads, etc. Yung 4-day work week, na sinasabing may impact, nakita namin napakaliit o halos walang impact doon sa problema na traffic at hand. So we believe na hindi makakatulong itong 4-day work week.
All right. Thank you very much, Ferdy Gaiten. Now, sir, Ascom, Ariel, your final words on
Sa ating
this?
pong mga kababayan, wag po tayong mabahala at kabahan dito. Ang gusto lang po ng Civil Service Commission ay mag-provide ng environment where agencies can decide whether to adopt the scheme or not. Para sa ganon, sila mismo malalaman nila kung makakatulong ba sa publiko, makakatulong ba sa kanilang sariling mga empleyado, o makakatulong ba ito sa pagpapagaan ng trapiko natin sa Metro Manila. But one thing that I can guarantee is that the Civil Service Commission will not allow the diminution of the quality of service that government agencies will deliver to the public. We will continue to monitor, and that if ever there is any indication that the adoption of this scheme is not good for the public, then we will tell the agencies to stop.
All right.
So we will always be there to ensure that public service delivery will always be for the citizens, will always be there when needed by our people.
All right. Thank you so much, Assistant Commissioner Ariel Ronquillo. Thank you to our guests, again, Civil Service Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner, Attorney Ariel Ronquillo, and the President of the Confederation for Unity and Advancement of Government Employees, or Courage, Ferdy Gaite. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now let's see the results of our online poll. We ask you, are you in favor of the Civil Service Commission's 4-day workweek policy? Those who answered yes, 60%. Those who answered no, 40%. And that's our opposing views for tonight. Tune in again next week for another bold and engaging discussion of today's most relevant issues. I'm Nepomuceno. Good night, God bless, happy weekend.
to address the problem of traffic, which is kalbaryo ng bawat Pilipino ngayon dito sa Metro Manila. But we still believe hindi masyado malaking impact dito. Kasi right now, there is no empirical data to show how many government employees actually own their own vehicles, which will be reduced once compressed work week is implemented. Secondly, I think the other concept is the number of government vehicles, which are used also by the various government offices. And if we can have an empirical data to show that ito mawawala sa kalsada kapag ano, then posible, no? But right now, I don't think it will really have a big dent. I think may mga justifications regarding work-life balance. We don't think it will really have a great benefit because you will be, what? You'll be 15 hours out of dati kasi...
Sorry to cut you off. Okay, we'll have to cut you off because we're already going to the debate points now. So, but you made your point. So the idea was to summarize your ideas. All right. So that's our discussion for today, for the 4-day work week. So let's start off with first question. Will this 4-day work week, because I think the premise is that we're having a lot of traffic and we're all suffering from that. And we're all looking for solutions. And I think this is one of the solutions that's being offered by the CSC. It's supposedly to lessen the traffic. And you were pointing it out, Ferdy. So again, sorry to cut you off on that because we are going to discuss that lengthily. Now, do you think, ASCOM, Ariel, that this 4-day work week will indeed lessen the traffic volume? As Ferdy had already pointed out, there hasn't been any empirical research whether certain cars, let's say government cars, will be lessened, or government employees who own cars will really not use their cars on Friday or on that 5th day. All right, joining us tonight in our discussion is Assistant Commissioner for Legal Affairs, Attorney Ariel Ronquillo of the Civil Service Commission. Good evening, ASCOM. Ariel.
Good evening, Attorney Rod.
Yes, can you give us your quick thoughts on this policy, this 4-day work week?
Well, the Civil Service Commission is actually in the process of empowering our different agencies of the government in Metro Manila to decide whether they will adopt this 4-day work week scheme that we are proposing. This is meant to help in the easing of traffic congestion within Metro Manila and to promote work-life balance for our government employees. We believe that with the adoption of the 4-day work week scheme, our people in government will have more time with their family because that means 3 more days of being with their family instead of work without reducing their productivity because we also protect the 40 hours a week that is mandated by our law. And also, we see to it that the adoption of the 4-day work week scheme will not prejudice the public because we will continue to monitor whether the adoption of the scheme is really good for the public or not. If it is found out that it's not working very well for the benefit of the public, then we can tell the agency to stop. So again, this is not an imposition. This is a blanket authority so that agencies can decide for themselves whether they will adopt it or not. Right. If they think it will not work for them, then it's up to them. They will not adopt it. But if they believe they are ready to implement it and that they will be...
Do you think that, has there been research, for example, that it will indeed lessen the traffic?
Okay, Rod, in the first place, we're not guaranteeing that this will really reduce the traffic congestion within Metro Manila. What we're saying is that somehow it will help. And that the enactment of this policy will at least provide an environment where the employees themselves, who are mostly caught in these traffic jams, will be given a relief, at least maybe for 1 day, that they will not be commuting and that they will just be staying at home.
In other words, 1 day at least that they don't have to commute. Diba?
Yes. So, ibig sabihin, kasi hindi natin pwedeng garantiyahan na mawawala yung traffic just because isang araw walang pasok.
Has there been preliminary research, for example, maybe a sample size or maybe research that you conducted with one office na how many of you will not use your cars or your vehicles if we have this 4-day work week? Meron bang ganun?
Well,
Informal research?
ang katotohanan niyan, walang ganong research na ginawa. Ang ginawa ay survey.
Survey, yeah.
Yeah, sa mga agencies kung pabor sila dito o hindi. At sa pagsagot naman kasi nung mga tanong na ginawa namin, isinaalang-alang na yon. Makakatulong ba sa inyo? Kung,
And so far, the overwhelming result of that survey is?
yes, I think around 90% of all the respondents said yes, they are in favor of the 4-day work week scheme. Oh.
Now, Ferdy, now let's go back to what you were driving at. No? Sorry for the pun, drive and cars. No? You're saying that this will not necessarily lessen the number of cars on the road. Why do you say that?
Tama yun. Kasi mas maraming, I would believe, no? Mas maraming kawani, hindi naman malalaki ang sahod ng mga ito, nagko-commute. They use the usual public utility vehicles. So, there will be no reduction because you still...
More effective when they implement it, then go ahead. We have given them the blanket authority, but bearing in mind that the Civil Service Commission will continue to monitor them and will tell them to stop if it is not serving the purpose.
All right. Thank you so much, ASCOM. Ariel, on the opposing side is the National President of the Confederation for Unity and Advancement of Government Employees, or COURAGE, Ferdinand Gaite. Good evening, Ferdinand. Ferdy.
Good evening, Attorney Rod. Good evening kay ating ASEC Alex ng CSC.
Now, what are your thoughts on this? Itong 4-day work week na pinapropose ng CSC?
Well, this is not a new proposal or plan. Previously, this was already implemented, but under a different justification. If I remember it right, during the previous administration, this was proposed a scheme supposedly to cut down on electrical consumption, which, again, before, we already criticized this as a very half-baked concept or idea, because the concept was the concept is a compressed work week schedule. Instead ng 5 araw, 4 na araw. But you do not reduce the number of working hours in the office. Previously, it was 5 days, but working on an 8-hour schedule. But now, it's a 4-day work week, but within a 10-hour work schedule. Meaning, it's a total of 40 hours. Doon pa lamang kinriticize namin na half-baked or illogical, because you do not reduce the consumption of electricity, etc., of the offices. You would still be operating on a 40-day work week. Right. So, sabi nila, makakatipid daw yung mga empleyado kasi hindi na daw siya mamasahe at hindi siya kakain. Sabi ko, hindi naman, kahit yung 5th day na libre niya, kakain pa rin siya. But baka sa bahay na lamang. But now, the proposal is supposed to
Following a recent memorandum circular issued by the Civil Service Commission, all government agencies are encouraged to adopt a 4-day workweek scheme. Under the new scheme, government employees will now have to render 10 hours each day from Tuesday to Friday, 8 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening. Agencies may also opt for a Monday to Thursday schedule. The reasons, according to CSC, include lessening the traffic volume in Metro Manila, increase employee efficiency and performance, promote work-life balance among employees, and enhance employee morale. But some labor groups slam the 4-day workweek scheme because it allegedly runs counter to the country's productivity. It would also mean longer hours for employees at work, defeating the very purpose of the memorandum. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. Proponents of the 4-day workweek scheme say that shorter work week means an increase in overall life satisfaction for the laborers. But the other side says it won't make a dent and will affect the delivery of services. So let's weigh in tonight. Our question, are you in favor of the Civil Service Commission's 4-day workweek policy? Good evening, I'm Nepomuceno, and this is Opposing Views.